I know I usually wait until the very end of the month to deliver these reports, but this time I cannot. Events are simply too large, too sudden, and too important to delay even a single day. I also normally begin with a hook, a headline, something dramatic to seize your attention. Today I will not. I do not need to. Trust me, you do not want to miss this episode. Let us begin. I am Indy Nidell, and welcome to a special edition of the Weimar Wire. Today, we are covering the political earthquake that shook Germany in January 1933. Historian John Wheeler Bennett once wrote, "In the last week of January 1933, the political world of Berlin hummed like an overturned hive." That description is perfectly accurate, but to understand why, we must step back a little. As you may remember from our previous episode, the November 1932 elections were a major setback for the Nazi Party. They lost a significant number of seats in the Reichstag, raising serious doubts about the party's future. At the same time, endless political maneuvering in Berlin resulted in General Kurt von Schleicher forcing Franz von Papen out of the chancellorship and taking the position himself. Von Papen was stunned by what he viewed as Schleicher's betrayal and immediately began plotting his revenge. When we last left off, just after Christmas, Nazi Party leader Adolf Hitler was preparing to meet von Papen. That meeting was scheduled for January 4th at the Cologne home of Nazi financier Kurt von Schroeder. The meeting did take place as planned. Hitler and von Papen arrived separately and were photographed entering the house, making the meeting public knowledge. It lasted roughly 2 hours. During the meeting, Hitler angrily confronted von Papen for blocking his appointment as chancellor back in August. Von Papen responded that the real culprit was Schleicher, the same man who had just forced von Papen out of office. Nazi propaganda chief Joseph Goebbels recorded in his diary that von Papen was determined to destroy Schleicher, wanted him toppled and erased, and believed he had the ear of the old man, President Paul von Hindenburg. While von Papen was certainly close to Hindenburg, there is no evidence he was literally living with him. Hitler made his position clear. He would only join a new coalition government if he himself were appointed chancellor. Naturally, von Papen would receive a prestigious role, along with cabinet posts for his allies. Hitler also made clear that Social Democrats, Communists, and Jews would be removed from influential positions in German public life. Von Papen later claimed that Hitler's appointment as chancellor was never discussed. However, both Schroeder and Goebbels independently confirmed that it was. News of the meeting spread quickly, and newspapers openly speculated that von Papen was attempting to persuade Hindenburg to appoint Hitler chancellor. Chancellor Schleicher, alarmed, asked Hindenburg to forbid von Papen from meeting Hitler without government approval. Publicly, Hindenburg agreed. Privately, he told von Papen to continue the talks. This was politics at a Shakespearean level. On January 6th, Hitler and von Papen issued a joint press statement denying any plot against Schleicher. 3 days later, von Papen met Schleicher and claimed his only goal was to bring Hitler into the existing government. Schleicher did not believe him. Another crucial outcome of the Cologne meeting was financial. By December 1932, the Nazi Party was effectively bankrupt. By mid-January 1933, it was suddenly flush with cash again, thanks to industrial magnates who had assumed responsibility for its debts. Von Papen always denied any involvement, but the timing is impossible to ignore. The financial resurrection of the NSDAP occurred immediately after the Cologne meeting. At the same time, Hitler went on a campaign tour of the tiny free state of Lippe. Over 11 days, he spoke in 16 towns and villages ahead of a local election. On January 15th, the Nazis won 39.5% of the vote, an increase from November. Hitler declared this proof that the party was resurgent, not declining. Meanwhile, in Berlin, Schleicher continued what historians have described as breathtaking political ineptitude. On the very day of the Cologne meeting, he reopened negotiations with Gregor Strasser, who had already resigned from the Nazi Party and held no real influence. it was political necrophilia. Hitler and von Papen met again on January 18th at the Berlin home of Joachim Ribbentrop. Security was extreme. Hitler entered through a garage, unseen. Ribbentrop later noted that Hitler once again insisted on the chancellorship. Von Papen argued it was impossible, but Hitler refused to continue talks. The decisive meeting occurred on the evening of January 22nd. Present were Hitler, von Papen, President Hindenburg's son Oskar, and State Secretary Otto Meissner. Oskar and Meissner publicly attended an opera before slipping away to Ribbentrop's house. Earlier that night, Hitler had delivered a major speech honoring Nazi martyr Horst Wessel. During the meeting, Hitler again refused any role other than chancellor. He also warned that the Nazis would not support Schleicher in the Reichstag. Then Hitler and Oskar Hindenburg spoke privately for an hour. No official record exists. Later, Oskar claimed Hitler warned that only Nazi participation could prevent civil war. There may have been more. At the time, a parliamentary investigation threatened to expose corruption linked to the Eastern Aid Program, potentially implicating Hindenburg's family. It is possible Hitler offered to shut down the investigation in exchange for power. After dinner, Oskar reportedly said simply, "The Nazis must be brought into the government." Schleicher's position collapsed rapidly. On January 28th, after Hindenburg rejected his proposal for a military dictatorship, Schleicher resigned. With no viable alternative, Hindenburg, von Papen, Meissner, and Oskar agreed that Hitler must become chancellor, restrained by conservative partners. On January 29th, von Papen informed Hitler. Only two other Nazis would enter the cabinet, Wilhelm Frick as Minister of the Interior and Hermann Göring as Minister without portfolio. Von Papen would serve as Vice-Chancellor. Hitler promised elections and an enabling law to rule without the Reichstag. That night, Nazi leaders feared a military coup. None came. On the morning of January 30th, 1933, Adolf Hitler entered President Hindenburg's office. At 11:30 a.m., he took the oath of office as Chancellor of Germany, pledging loyalty to the Weimar Constitution. There was a brief silence. Then President Hindenburg spoke. "Now, gentlemen, forward with God."